And I just want to let y'all know, be toxic for the rest of your 20s. You only get one life. Live your toxic 20s. You never get to be 20 years old, 21, 22, 23, 24, none of that ever again in your life. Be toxic for the rest of your 20s. And if you're delusional, turn it up a notch. Enjoy the rest of your 20s. You only get to do this shit one time.
There's young girls who are hearing this, you know what I mean? So what's your thoughts on this?
There's no age on toxicity.
There's no aim to be toxic.
Yeah.
She said don't be mature when you're 30. Be toxic in your 20s. Get it out.
How do you get it out of your system when you turn 30, the day you turn 30? I'm not toxic anymore.
I feel like it's not more so like, okay, I'm 30 now, boo. But it's like, I've been through this, I've been through that. I'm 24, so I kind of understand what she mean a little bit. It's not really like be toxic, but it's like live your life.
Yeah, because
YOLO.
She really saying be toxic in your 20s. Facts. And women are not understanding how stupid they are for listening to that.
How dangerous it is.
It is.
So welcome back to the channel. And y'all already know, you know, I am 100% against this video. And the reason why is not so much about, because there's two things, you know, that was being said here. You have the woman literally saying be toxic in your 20s. And then, you know, the group of people that were discussing it, they were saying, well, maybe she doesn't mean it like that. She probably means that you're supposed to have fun in your 20s. And even when you talk like that, I'll be honest with you, I just disagree. People have a mindset that you can take a part of your life and do whatever in the world you want to do with it, and then it's going to disappear. It's going to never have happened. And this is one of the major issues that a lot of women are having in their 30s. Okay, and I'll be honest with you, I would say the same thing for men in their 20s. At CSC, we were talking and we had this really great discussion going on. I forgot exactly what we were talking about, but there was a guy that he didn't even have a picture of. We just saw his name, and because we were on Zoom call, and he basically came in and he said, hey, you know, blah, 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 blah. And he was just preaching the truth. He was just preaching the truth. And all the women, you know, were like, oh, wow, that was a lot of intelligence, a lot of maturity right there. And so we ended up asking him, you know, I asked him who he was and, you know, how old he was, and found out, you know, he was from Africa, and he actually was 25 years old. And most of the women on the call actually thought he was like 40 or 45. One of the things that I've noticed is that we have in America this concept that maturity comes with age. It does not. Maturity comes with you understanding things and you learning things about life. Now, some people become more mature as they get older, and we all kind of do a little bit, but there are people out there that are more mature at 22 than some people are at 50. And I even think about myself, like I said, you know, my background is media for everyone that is new. And I was working on my very first feature film, and I was shooting it myself. I didn't have a lot of help, and I had done a lot of research on Robert Rodriguez, who had actually shot his first film, you know, by himself. And if you don't know who Robert Rodriguez is, he did Spy Kids, Desperado, and Sin City. So his very first film he shot by himself. So I thought I could do the same. And here I am, 26 years old, and I have a cast of about 14 or 15 people, and I literally have one crew member, and that one crew member is a makeup artist. And what was interesting about that scenario was that every single one of the actors thought I was in my 30s. They actually thought I was closer to 35. And but most of them didn't put me older than that because, you know, evidently I look young. So in that, what they saw in me was a lot of maturity that they equated to people who were much older. And see, it was that maturity that allowed me to navigate things and actually do things that were way beyond my age. And what I'm saying, even with the guy from Africa, I think he was from Nigeria, the thing about him, it was the exact same thing. He was already at a place of maturity. And this is one of the things that I'm always, you know, trying to let people know. If your parents do what they're supposed to do, somebody is extremely mature, even in their early 20s. And see, always this thing about, oh, well, you know, you need to wait for this amount of time. You need to do this. You need to do that. But see, all that does is get you into trouble. Now, for most men, I would encourage you to take your 20s and grind. Work on your hustle, work on your dreams, make those things happen. So once you get into your 30s, those things can be better for you, right? And if you're a business-minded woman, you can do the same. Even though I know a lot of men won't really agree with me on that, you can do the same. However, if you are a woman and you want a family, even if you're business-minded, and it's a little bit more tricky if you're business-minded, but if you're not business-minded, you need to be looking to get married in your 20s, especially if you're not business-minded. Your 20s are not meant for you to play. And America loves to do that narrative. And all that does is hurt you. And what you hear from men over and over and over again, especially for the women that are, 32 and under that are listening to me, what you hear over and over again from men is that they don't want, to deal with all the problems of a woman who played in her 20s. Because it's not just going out to a club and having fun. A lot of times this means a lot of crazy sexual activity. It means, maybe doing drugs or, alcohol or whatever it is. And all these things have a downside. There are two women right now. I mean, I'm not going to say their names or anything, but they're in, CSE, and both of them now, are like in Alcoholics Anonymous. They're in AA. Why? Because when they were in their 20s, they were sitting around drinking and all this other kind of stuff, and they got to the point where they were addicted to it. And it actually caused all these problems. And then we can't even start to talk about all the women that end up pregnant. And then in their 30s, they recognize, wow, there's not a lot of men that are going to date me now with this 1-2 kid. Right? And so we see really quickly how this thing works. I mean, from a spiritual perspective, like I say, you see the cross on the screen. That's what the devil likes to do. He always likes to give you a sin and then tell you, oh, there's no strings attached. Oh, go out and have fun. Go out and don't worry about it. But every single thing that you do that is a sin has some kind of repercussion. It is going to have some kind of repercussion. And it's kind of like, the best way I like to say it, to truly understand how this works is it's kind of like when you first go out, because we just use sex because it's an easier one. And, a man and a woman, they get together, they have sex. And generally in the beginning, you don't know the person, so you pulling out the condom, right? And the woman is like, you better put that condom on, right? So now you hang out with the person, a guy might be feeling her, she might sort of be feeling him, people just hanging out, they're just having fun. Like the woman said, they're just having fun. But over time, and the more they do this, what happens? Y'all know what happened. You stop using the condom, or you get lazy with the condom, or one day you forgot to buy a condom, right? And then now one day, boom, she pops up and she's pregnant. And now both of y'all got to deal with it, right? And see, it started off easy. It started off almost like a no-brainer, but then it turned into a problem. And then if both of you decide, okay, well, we're not going to get rid of the baby, we're going to keep the baby, now you are connected for life. Even if you don't even like this person. And see, that is this whole concept. This concept of going out, turning it up because you're only going to be 20 once. But see, what I say is, why do people, when they think they got to go out and have fun, why is the fun always destructive? Have you ever noticed that? Okay, is that the fun that they're talking about is literally, like she said, toxic. It is destructive. Like you can get married at 23 years old and go out and have fun. But it's how you define fun. If you define fun as getting sloppy drunk and ended up in something one step away from an orgy, then your concept of fun is toxic. But if your concept of fun is going out with friends, having a conversation, maybe a couple of drinks, maybe doing some traveling, you can do that while you're married. When I first got married, that's all me and my friends did. I mean, most of my friends, like I told you, are married, and most of them got married in their 20s. So here we are, 25, 26, 27, 28, and we would get together, we would have parties, we would meet up at restaurants, You know, sometimes we might even take trips together. Just because you're married doesn't mean you can't have fun. Just because you're on your grind doesn't mean you can't have fun. And I think people have this mindset that if you don't take it up beyond 10, because to me, 10 is like super duper. Once you go beyond 10, just like she said, it becomes toxic. And see, what people want to do is they want to go to 20. They want to live bigger and better than anybody else in their entire existence has ever done. But when have we seen that and seen that be a good thing? Or when has it been seen and it's a bad thing? And this, in essence, is really where the problem is. And I think social media, because it just opens the door for everybody to, you know, air their opinion, and that's fine. Like I said, I really don't have a problem with it overall. And like I said before, I'm actually excited at the fact that there seems to be a little bit more logic starting to come out here into these social media spaces, because that's what we need. We need people that have a little bit more maturity with them and they're thinking about this differently. But like the second woman, you know, the woman that was a part of the crew, they talked about she was 24 and she wanted to go out here and have fun. And she kind of agreed with the first lady. See, even with her, you know, if I was talking to her, I would tell her, why can't you have fun and still do the right thing? And again, I don't understand why people, it's like either or. And this is why I tell you guys all the time, people literally live in buckets. They're always in buckets. It's like, it's almost like I tell people all the time, it's like, you know, being a Christian, people think Christians are just weird. They think we're just walking around, Lord Jesus. Oh, Jesus, come again. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, 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 Jesus. I mean, who acts like that? You know, for the most part, Christians go out, they have fun, they travel, they do things. I mean, we might not cuss as much. We might not drink until we're falling over, but we're still enjoying life. And I think the problem with people is they believe that at 30, you're not going to enjoy life anymore. People have this mindset that all of a sudden the whole world's going to come to a close. I'm going to be honest with you guys real quick and just give you a quick nugget about how you can have a better life, especially if you are under 32. It'll be a little bit harder if you're older, but it's not impossible. If you work twice as hard and you have the energy to do it, because like I've talked before, there are a lot of times people don't have the energy to actually do it. And I'm just being realistic here. But if you actually work really hard in your 30s, especially the men, and women pick well and, you know, find really great guys to work with, then even when you finally get married and you start having children, you can work it out where your life is still just as free and fun as it would have been in your 20s. And you say, Jay, how can you say that? Well, let me break it down for you. Things in life is just about money and or resources. So there's two ways you can get around this. America loves to separate families. And the reason why America does this is because they make more money. They want your parents to go into a nursing home. They want them to do something stupid, like do a reverse mortgage, and I do call that stupid, do a reverse mortgage on their house. Because what that does is it basically just allows somebody to steal their house. I mean, that's pretty much what they're doing. The person's getting your parents' house for a steal. But if you notice a lot of other cultures, what they do is you'll have 2 or 3 generations that live in one house. And because of this, you actually have parents, you know, your parents, that can actually watch the children while you and your spouse actually go out and have fun. Wow. So now you don't have 2 sets of eyes, you actually have 4 sets of eyes that are watching these children. And children are really the biggest burden beyond money that a couple has. So if the couple has the freedom to get around and do things, you can technically do and have fun. Like one of my friends, again, you know, like I said, I got friends all over the place. And one of my friends, you know, is African. And what he used to do all the time, and he still does, he would actually fly his children to Africa and drop them off. 100% drop them off. I mean, it was the craziest stuff. I was like, your wife okay with you doing this? And he was like, dude, she love it. She love it. He would literally drop them off with his parents because he wanted them to have dual citizenship and they needed to spend time, in his home country. And so he would basically drop them off for like 3 and 4 months. And him and his wife was living it up like they were single. All right, well, not single, but, without kids. And this goes the same thing if you have enough money. See, if you have enough money, then you can call a babysitter. Then you can have a nanny. Then you can have people to help you. See, the problem isn't the children. The problem isn't the marriage. The problem is the resources. And there are all these resources out here if you cultivate them. But again, we talk a lot about selfishness on this channel. And if you are the type of person where you're like, well, I don't want my mom and daddy or my mama living with me because then, she going to be doing this and she going to be doing that and it's going to be an inconvenience and I don't want to have to think about this. See, as soon as you start talking like that, you're being selfish. And so now she can't be selfless for you. Now, if your mama just super selfish and then she gonna be like that, then you can't work with your mama. But if your mama's gonna come in and she gonna help you clean, she gonna help you cook, she's willing to watch the kids, but now you gotta find another room for her in the house and you might not feel as comfortable when you're with your person, y'all know what I'm saying, get the drift, then the problem is more in the selfishness of you. And because of that, now you're missing out on a great blessing that you can have, because even if you don't have money, you might be able to have the resources through a parent or two parents. That's why people would do things like mother-in-law wings. If you've ever heard that concept, mother-in-law wing. And the great thing about having a parent's wing in your house is the fact that you're also going to get their money. So if mama and daddy are living with you, then their retirement is coming to you. And now you can have a bigger house on more land. And maybe, like I say, your mama and or daddy's room doesn't have to literally be right up against your house or in your house. It can actually be a little walkways away. But then they can still come in to eat, watch the kids, blah, blah, blah. So that's just a little bit of a nugget, because we need to get out of this narrative that we have to wait for certain moments in life to actually have fun, when you can actually have fun throughout your life if you have it organized and you actually think outside of this box that America is trying to put you in order to make more money. And it really is about economics. Almost everything in our American economy, even from getting a diamond ring as an engagement ring, okay, because a lot of, I know if I go too deep in that, it's going to upset a whole lot of people, but that was actually product placement. That was one of the first product placements that was ever done in movies. A lot of people overseas do not do engagement rings. That is 100% an American invention. So you need to kind of understand these things in order to know that America does a lot of things to pull your money. And the problem is, as they're pulling your money, it changes your direction and your vision of what life can be. And therefore you start to believe, well, I got to have 2 or 3 years or 10 years to turn it up, when you really don't, because you can actually have fun in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Just saying. Anyway, please like, please subscribe, and I'm going to see you all in the very next video.